persuasion research, cognitive bias research, social psychology, unconscious decision making, eye tracking studies, behavioral economics. All of these things come together under the big topic of neuromarketing. And specifically, I want to talk today about website visitor psychology. Traffic, driving traffic, it's a lot of work. Where do they land? What's happening in their brain on the page that you're bringing them to? It's a really important topic. It makes a big difference. I want to break down for you the psychology of website visits. Should be fun. Let's jump right in. Hi, this is Andy from Orbit Media Studios. And I want to show you what a website visit looks like when you track the eyes of the person on the page. Here I am at my desk. This is literally the desk that I'm sitting at right now. And using an eye tracking tool, which attaches to the bottom of the monitor and the camera, I can actually track the movements of the eyes of a visitor. So this is actually a project manager who works here. This is Ben. I'm giving Ben a sample task on a website as if he's like looking for an answer, trying to find a solution. He's wants to see if a technology here will work for him. He's like a VP of technology at a healthcare company. Look at how fast his eyes move as they scan the navigation. He chooses a navigation item, it expands, the mouse stops, but his eyes keep going. Look at how quickly people look around web pages. And look at how the layout of the page and the words, the copy, the labels actually guide his attention. This section of the page, that this scroll depth, super colorful. Do the colors help him? Doesn't really matter. He's just trying to read the words. He clicks on one, big blocky paragraph, skips right past it, jumps down to the next page block where he finds a diagram that looks like it's more informative. He's actually using this to help make his decision. This is what a website visit looks like, and you can begin to understand how the visual prominence and the words and the UX and features all combine in the mind of that visitor in that moment. So let's deconstruct a website visit more broadly. Set aside Ben and the eye tracking. I want to show you what a website visit looks like more generally. Just like I gave that task to Ben, that was the zero moment of truth, and Ben thinks to himself, I need some help. He probably gets a referral or he goes straight to Google and he lands on a web page. What happens next? As the page loads, the person basically is asking themselves first, what does this company do? Likely next question, how do they do it? And even more important, can they do it for me? In other words, every visit to every web page starts with the same question, a variety of, am I in the right place? That's the first step. That's job one. So let's go through the page. I'm going to give it some an example of a page. Big, clever headline, but not specific. Visitors not sure what they do. What did they do exactly? Scroll down. We love us. We're great. We do this. That's what they do. It's not really differentiated copy because it's mostly tooting their own horn, but this visitor actually does see what this company does. And then he gets to a stock photo, no impression, doesn't really help or hurt, just kind of scan right past it. And then more kind of we're number one, we love us, not explaining specifically what they do, not telling this visitor if they can do it for them, not really answering questions, just kind of general marketing speak. And then if you get to that big blocky paragraph, bad formatting, dense copy, I don't really have time to read this, visitor moves on. Let's try that again with a better page. Let's try that again with a page that actually has a more deliberately designed visual hierarchy and adding clarity where before it maybe was just clever. Am I in the right place? Same visit, same zero moment of truth, same visitor. Am I in the right place? Clear descriptive header. I see what they do. That's what I'm looking for. Logos. Credibility, awards, certifications. Clearly they do it for real companies. Clearly they're legit, like something that's differentiation, that's evidence, that's support. And then maybe upgrade the format to a video. Their approach looks interesting, looks thoughtful, making sense, starts to make sense to me. Now you can use clever subheads, right? But provide detailed answers, right? So this person can see if it's going to work for them. Looks like maybe they can help me with my specific needs. And then you get to a testimonial with some evidence. People like them. Maybe I should get in touch. You see how that basically addressed the question? Let's break it down again. These are the elements, H1s and H2s. This is how web pages are built. It's got page blocks. It's got, it's going to be a responsive web design. The H1 header's job is to basically tell them first what in the world you do. The logos answer the question, are you legit, right? Are you a credible company? How well do you do it? What's your approach? That could be done in the video. That's done high on the page usually in any format, video or text, any format. And then you start to get into the answers. You start to answer questions. You start to address objections. That helps the visitor understand, can you do it for them? And then the testimonial basically is supportive. Have you done it for people like me? Yes, it answers the question, have you done it for people like me? What happens next when we explain this to people and work with clients? There are certain personality types who say to themselves, but I want this to sound different. I want to be different. I'm not the same. Differentiation is the key to marketing. I want my copy to sound different. Great, let's make it sound different. But don't sound different until you've been explicit about what you do, right? If your header is vague and a tagline and sounds clever but unclear, that's not helpful, right? You're not giving the visitor the answer to their first question, am I in the right place? So start with clarity and then be clever below. That's actually part of the key. I've got a diagram here that more or less breaks down all the elements of a high converting page in ways that align with the psychology of the visitor, very specifically, leveraging cognitive bias, right, which we'll talk about. It's got answers and evidence and calls to action. Scroll through this, take a look, pause the video, share with a friend, write it down, or look at the link in the description and I'll share the article where all this is spelled out in great detail. I am not the first person to explain this. Google actually published a lead gen UX playbook that makes recommendations about what to put on a page like a home page, right? And what do they say? Have clear calls to action above the fold. I just talked about that. Have clear descriptive CTAs. I just talked about that. Clear benefit-oriented value proposition above the fold. Same thing, I just called it a descriptive H1 header. Remove automatic carousels, right? That wouldn't have worked well. We don't want to have sliders. They test very poorly in usability studies. Use social proof. Add evidence, right? And at the bottom here, I would put this first. The reason the visitor came to this page. Provide answers to questions that the visitor might have before they feel comfortable filling out the form. That's the game. Why do people take action on websites? It's because they have confidence that that service offering or that product is likely to solve their problem. The key is to answer their question so they can understand whether or not this makes sense for them. There's another personality type who we're working on a web page, we're building something, and they say, I want my website to look different, not sound different, but I want it to look different. I want it to interact differently. I want the elements to be unexpected. I want to have an unusual UX, right? Unusual layout, unusual features. Here's a fun example. Bottom right navigation, that is unusual for sure. Is it helpful? Is it better? Is that good? So that website wasn't typical. It had low prototypicality, which, according to studies, does not align with how people perceive beauty. Actually, it's not the sites that are very unusual in their layout that are reported as successful in studies like this one. In other words, the most beautiful designs are sites that show one thing at a time. They have low visual complexity, they're simple, and they don't use unexpected UX. They don't have weird layouts and strange features and bizarre carousels and unusual ways to work, right? That's not what tends to perform well for conversion or in usability. In other words, your goal when making a page is to create a visual hierarchy that aligns with the messaging priority, which aligns with the information needs of your visitor. Make sense? So when the visual hierarchy is not clear and the visitor has to bounce around, it's not as effective as when you straighten it out and move them down through one page. And at each depth, it's clear what the person's supposed to focus on. Lots and lots of evidence for this. These are the pages that have higher conversion rates. You could do an A/B test. This is one here that was done by Unbounce. I want to do 5 things for you. Now I'm going to go through 5 different things, each of which will help you build pages and build an overall site that aligns with the psychology of visitors and with the cognitive biases that we all bring to every page that we look at as soon as it loads in the browser. 1, a descriptive header. We know from research, and we took a whole bunch of sites, home pages, and looked at the scroll heat maps from those output by Hotjar and overlaid them on top of each other in semi-transparent layers. And we determined that the typical fold on websites is actually quite high. In fact, 73% of visitors don't really scroll. They tend not to scroll. They go right to the main navigation. So this is better together. What we do, the biggest text on here says nothing. It says nothing, makes no sense, doesn't help anybody. You can't tell what this company does. The largest text on this page is vague. You can actually test this on your own site by uploading a version of your home page to a tool like Usability Hub, and 20 people or 50 people, albeit not in your target audience, We'll look at the page and then answer a question such as, what does this company do? You might find that it's actually very, very confusing. If you try it again with a more specific descriptive navigation header, such as this one, leadership coaching and training for mid-level managers, suddenly it wins. It passes the 5-second test. It makes sense to people. Next tip is to use descriptive navigation labels. Help the visitor by find what they want and get there quickly by using labels that make sense. In other words, product, services, about, blog, contact, not that helpful. Compasses, chronometers, charts, and maps, very helpful. Also good for search. Search engines and humans appreciate it when you make navigation labels clear and specific and descriptive because it helps them accurately predict what's behind that click, right? So if yours says about, solutions, news, contact, nobody knows what you do. Nobody can tell what you do. Not helpful. Similar, and I'm really hitting on this point of specificity, meaningful subheaders. Let's use some meaningful subheaders. Why not? If your subheaders say stuff like our products and insights and ideas and our customers, super vague, super generic, you missed an opportunity to indicate relevance in search, you missed an opportunity to communicate quickly with your visitors. I'll replace these after reading the page. It was very easy to replace these. If that first one changed to our baking and pastry products, indicating relevance using a keyword. If the second one said new ideas from inside our bakery, it's a bakery blog, it's a baking site. And then the bottom one really was about their, it's a little kind of blurby thing that had awesome text inside it, but the header was the subhead was very vague. But that should probably say is 100 years strong evidence of quality baking ingredients. Let's look at this example. What our customers are saying, The top of the visual hierarchy here says nothing. Super vague, useless, not helpful. And worse than that, this is a testimonial block. All the testimonials are inside a carousel. Bummer, not helpful, right? They're hidden. So the big subhead is vague. The carousel hides the valuable testimonials until they get clicked, right? They should have just broken them out and stacked them all up. And then the tiny text is actually the best thing on the page. Basically, we need to ask ourselves, is the most visually prominent thing here also the most valuable, compelling, specific, helpful thing here? That's web design. That's aligning a page with visitor psychology. Is the most visually prominent thing also the most important thing? If no, you made a mistake. Go fix your website. It's not that hard. Okay. Next, I'm going to cover social proof. Social proof is adding evidence. A site that lacks evidence is a pile of unsupported marketing claims. Yes, that is sad but true. Lots of websites are just piles of unsupported marketing claims because they didn't add any evidence, right? But as a website planner and a content strategist and a conversion copywriter, I know that by adding any of these types of social proof, testimonials, endorsements, certifications, happy customers, years in business, anything that adds evidence, right? Specifically, social proof is evidence that comes from other people, sort of third-party endorsements. Let's take a look at Hennica's website, Enchanting Marketing. Wow. Powerful endorsement from a famous marketer at the top. As seen in press mentions, whoa, not everybody has those. She's different, sets her apart. It's legit, it's third-party endorsement. And then more endorsements below. Begins to make the case that pages should be mostly social proof, right? Maybe these pages should all be filled with evidence. From the very top, as seen in, featured on, to the very bottom, awards we've won, certifications. So basically, we're going to take the testimonial, we're going to pull the juiciest parts out, make that the subhead, put it in quotes. The logo adds credibility, the face adds credibility. And for text-based testimonials, throw in a keyword into that testimonial if at all possible, because that's going to help indicate relevance. A keyword-focused testimonial is a combination of both cheese and mousetrap. It's something that can both increase traffic and conversion rates at the same time. Quick warning about testimonials. I recommend avoiding a testimonials page because no one goes there. On this site, look at the analytics. Testimonials is the 31st most popular page. Why did you hide your most compelling information on your 31st most popular page? Not impressed. Finally, loss aversion and scarcity. We want to remind people that acting now will help them avoid problems or solve their current problems faster. Jonah Berger, author of Contagious, wrote about this. He said scarcity, also known as loss aversion, of course, is about the number of things available. The fewer of something available, the more desirable it is. Look at what Groupon does. It's a master class in scarcity. Hurry up before it's too late. It's almost gone. There's the offer. There's a few more details, but then most of the page is about triggering scarcity. The star reviews, the strikeout price, today only, sold out, countdown clock, 200 views today, number of likes. And so what are the cognitive biases being triggered here? Social proof, priming, anchoring, loss aversion, social proof, also known as the conformity bias. The point here is to tell visitors what they're going to miss, what they're going to risk, or what they're going to lose by not working with you right away. Hey guys, this was super fun to make. I'm glad if it's useful to you. If you know someone else who's struggling to get results from their site, someone with a low performing landing page, someone who thinks that clever is more important than clear, feel free to pass these along. We'd be grateful. Again, Andy from Orbit Media. And don't forget, if you want to get the next one as soon as it comes out, just make sure to subscribe, and we'll keep making these. Thanks again. Take care.